I'm Kira Jo, and today's video is going to be one look with the new Natasha Denona Mini Starlette palette. So this palette is mostly mid-tones and lighter tones. It's a really pretty neutral palette, but I do want a little more depth, per usual. So what I'm going to do to add a little more definition to this eye look is just go in with a dark brown eyeliner pencil. This one is from Huda Beauty. It's the Longwear Eye Pencil in the shade Very Brown. Good name, I guess. So I'm going to do that very first and start getting some definition on the lower lash line because I want to do a reverse cat eye. And with a reverse cat eye, all you need to do is follow your lower lash line as you create your wing. And I've got an angled liner brush to help blend that out. And I'll just keep getting this smokier and smokier as I go. This is one of my favorite eye shapes to do on myself. Well, I lost one of my lights there for a second. Technical difficulties, but I think I have everything set up okay again, and let's get back to the eye look. Okay, I had to plug in the power cord for one of my lights. I thought I was going to have to stop filming, but I remembered that these lights don't just run on battery. I also can plug them in to the outlet, so I had to do that. So if there is a lack of cohesiveness between this clip and the last clip, it's because I got in a little bit of a mood at my technology. But what I was saying is I like this eye shape on myself. I think it helps bring out the almond shape of my eyes. It also stops me from closing off the top part of my eyes. Because my eyes are slightly hooded, I do sometimes feel like eyeliner along the top, if I go too thick, it can close my eyes off too much. When I do the eyeliner across the bottom, I feel like it just creates a nice flattering shape. And it helps my upper eyelid look larger. I think just my eyes in general look larger when I do this shape. So, and I think I went a little outside the corner more on this eye than I did on the other eye. I might try to just wipe that off. We'll see if it will come off easily or not. Yeah, that'll be okay. So I'm just going to follow my actual inner corner here. Okay, and then I'm just going to lightly go over that with the brush to help soften that deep shade a little bit. And then we'll actually go into the Natasha Denona palette. I'm going to use that same angled brush, and I'm going to go into this deepest shade in the Natasha Denona palette. And I'm just going to go over what I already did with the powder. So that powder is just going to go over the eyeliner. That's going to help set it. This eyeliner sets pretty well after a couple minutes, but I like having eyeshadow on top of it as well to help with the blend, help everything look a little more seamless. And this shade is blending in pretty well with that eyeliner. It's a little more of a plummy tone. The eyeliner is more of a neutral brown. Doesn't really have any plum to it, but I feel like these shades are going together pretty well. And then I'm going to go into a little smudgy brush, and I'm going to use this shade in the palette and just go around the edges of that darker brown. I'm using very light pressure. I don't want this look to be super dark. I just want a little definition. And this is usually how I do my cat eyes. I just start with the darkest color and then I blend out with a gradient going from the darkest to the lightest. So now I will go into the lightest matte in that palette, the one right in the middle, and I'm just using that same smudgy brush, and just at the very edges I'm going to lightly graze that. And I had not primed my eyelids yet, by the way. When I do these reverse cat eyes, I usually prime the top lid once I'm ready to go in with those shades, because I like to put my eyeshadows on right after I've done the primer. So I will do the primer in just a minute on the upper lid. And I used up all of my Milani eyeshadow primer. It's finally gone. I'd been using that quite a bit and it is gone now. Normally I replace that one as soon as I'm out, but this time I already have an About Face primer that is ready to go, and I already had that one. And so I decided not to buy another Milani one. I'll use the About Face one first. And I actually like that one quite a bit too. I've used it a few times. I got it as part of a bundle deal with a couple of other About Face products. I think it was on Ulta, and you could get some of their fluid eye paints as well as the primer in a little set. So I did that so I could try both products. And that's looking pretty good. Just some finishing touches here. Oh, and by the way, what I was doing before, I didn't really narrate that, but I just used this skinnier liner brush and went into the deepest plum shade in the palette again and defined that line, because I want this line here to be pretty defined. I want a clear cutoff between the top lid and the lower lid. So that's what I was doing with that. And I'll just redefine it a little bit more again as I talk about it. Sometimes I find when I turn my eye a certain way with these reverse cat eyes, sometimes the line looks straight and sometimes it doesn't. And I'll be looking down in the mirror and it looks straight, and then when I turn my head a certain way, it's not perfectly straight, but it's all right. Okay, so I think that's good for the bottom lid, which means it's time to go in with primer so we can work on the top. And this is the About Face eyeshadow primer that I mentioned I have. This one comes with a wand, so unlike with the Milani, I don't have to use my fingertips to apply it, and that's kind of nice. I can just dab it right onto my eyelid. So I'll do that. And I just dab it on with the little applicator, and then I blend it out with my fingers still. And I concentrate that on the middle of my lid, since that's where I get creasing. I do have oily eyelids. Some people have dry eyelids, and it's interesting, I have dry skin, but my eyelids are quite oily. So if I don't use an eyeshadow primer, it creases for sure, whether I use mattes or shimmers. Typically with mattes, it doesn't crease quite as badly, but with shimmers for sure. And I just use eye primer every time I do my eye makeup because it helps it last longer. And I have a lot less issues with creasing. So I don't really use it to amp up the color. For me, I don't notice a huge difference in that. I just use it to keep my eyeshadow from creasing. I want to keep the top lid fairly simple. I'm going to pack on that middle matte shade, and I'm going to put that all over my lid. And I'm just using this dense brush, picking up a little of that shade. I'm gonna start putting that on right here in the exact middle, exactly the same place where I was focusing the eye primer the most. And I can see this lid is already starting to crease a tiny bit with the primer. So I'm just gonna tap that out before I touch the brush to my skin. And with Natasha Denona mattes, they apply really nicely and they build upon themselves really well. So the lightest shades in her palettes are gonna be a little darker than they actually appear in the palette. As you apply them, they get a little darker because they do build on themselves so well. Usually I would take a fluffy brush after this, but I did not grab one to bring over here while I was filming. And this shade is so close to my skin tone that I'm not too worried about it not being blended. So I'm gonna go ahead and just keep patting it with this brush instead of using a fluffy brush. But if I had a fluffy brush over here, I would use it and it would make this step a little faster, just to get that crease nice and evenly covered in this shade. I've done a couple looks with this palette off screen already, and I think it's super pretty. I don't think you can do a bad look with this eyeshadow palette. I think you could pretty much do any of these shades as a one and done look. And I also think you could pick any two and create a really simple, everyday, neutral kind of eye look. And I like the textures in here. I wasn't so sure about this bronzy shade, but I've used it twice now and I really liked it both times. I think it's just a really classy, sophisticated looking shimmer. Now I'm going to use my NYX glitter primer, and I'm going to get a little bit of that on my finger With reverse cat eye shapes, usually you want the top lid to be pretty light in tone, to almost look like you don't have anything on the top lid. And it's also really nice, I think, to make it nice and bright and shimmery. So what I'm doing is I'm going to just tap over that matte shade, and this is just the primer to help my lid be a little more sticky so that the sparkly shade I'm about to put on will adhere better. So I'm going in with this shade, and this shade is also in the mini retro palette, which I have as well. It's super pretty. It's got a very wet lid kind of look to it. So it's so sparkly and sheer that it just makes it look like your eyelids are wet instead of looking like you're wearing a lot of eyeshadow. I really like that effect. And this is one of my favorite Natasha Denona shimmers. I think the mini retro palette was the first Natasha Denona product I bought. I had the Bloom Blush and Glow palette from a BoxyCharm years ago, but I am pretty sure mini retro was my first purchase from Natasha Denona. And that is also a really pretty palette. And I don't really mind having this shade twice, to tell you the truth. I think it goes well with both palettes. I will say, if you already have the Star palette, I think every other shade in here is from the Star palette. So none of these shades are original, but I don't have the Star palette, and I think this is a great little handheld, neutral, simple palette. So this is one that I would love to use as a travel palette. It would be great to bring on a short trip, or if you just need to do something simple and get out the door, this is a good one for just a quick look. And my base products today, by the way, are mostly from Denona because I received my first PR package from Denona Beauty. So it was my welcome gift for becoming an angel, which is super exciting. There was so much more makeup in it than I was expecting. I thought I was going to be sent maybe like 10 products or something, and they sent me almost 30. So I have a lot of new stuff to try. Some of it is brand new to me, like new formulas that I've never used, and other things are tried and true, things that I've already been enjoying but have in different shades. And it was great because they had me fill out a survey so that I could tell them what shade I wanted in each of the products, which I really appreciated. And it was funny because filling out the survey, I really thought they were just going to pick from a few of the things that I filled out. I didn't realize they were going to send me everything on that list, which was very generous, especially considering how many new Denona angels there are. I think they announced 250 new people in the last month or two. So I imagine they sent out a lot of product for all of those people. I really appreciate that they have that program. I'm just excited to learn more about it and to participate in it. And I will be doing a look very soon on my channel with lots of Denona products because I have a lot to try out and use now. And this is the, what's this called? Lancome Lash Idol mascara. I like the brush on this one. It's not a super voluminous mascara for me, but it does do a really good job of separating my lashes and making them look fluttery. I don't use this one if I want to really build up my mascara, and sometimes I do that when I do my more creative looks on Instagram. I want a really intense black, chunky, almost like spidery mascara. This one is not like that. This one is very much a like pretty fluttery lashes kind of mascara. I feel like something looks off. Pretty sure what it is that I never connected the top lid to the wing. So when I close my eyes, it looks pretty normal. But when they're open, I don't like how I have this little gap. So I'm actually going to touch that up a little bit. And now I've already done my eyelashes, so they are going to be in the way a little. But all I'm going to do is just attach this right here. I just need that depth from the eyeliner to carry all the way through this corner. I think it looks good on some people when they don't connect it. On me, I feel like it looks a little weird. It looks a little bit off when I don't connect the top to that wing. Okay, and now I'm going to need my angled brush again to help blend that, because I don't want that line to be too stark. It's funny, I think I could see it more once I curled my eyelashes. When my eyelashes were not curled, I didn't have my mascara on yet, I didn't realize I hadn't done this. Oh, and this braid, by the way, is not my real hair, if you didn't already notice that. It's from Insert Name Here. I have a few of their ponytails because I think they're a fun accessory to add, especially for my Instagram looks. When I show my hair a little bit in the photos, I like the option to have these little ponytails that don't require me to style my real hair. I just can, you know, slick it back into a ponytail and then have that be the look. So that's the hair. It's called the Lara braid, and you can't see most of it in frame, but it is quite long. I decided I'm talking too much while I'm doing stuff, so I'm forgetting simple things that I normally wouldn't forget to do. I normally like to put bottom mascara on. I don't always put mascara on my bottom lashes, but with reverse cat eyes especially, I really think it completes the look. So I'm gonna add some mascara to the bottom lashes. And here's the finished look. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I just hit 100 subscribers on my channel, and this is a fairly new little adventure for me, so I really appreciate everyone being here. I hope you're having a great day, and until next time, I'll see you later.